You know when you get your first job and it's the first month where you get paid, you always want to buy something that's kind of memorable to you, and for me it was a PlayStation 4. I'm mainly a PC gamer myself, so a console didn't really appeal to me that much. But there were games on that console which really grabbed my attention, like Destiny, The Last of Us and the new Ratchet & Clank game coming out that same year. So I thought I'd pick one up on my first month. A couple of months later though, I managed to get my hands on an Xbox One. However, there wasn't many that really grabbed me for that. There was stuff like Rare Replay and obviously Halo. But there was one game in particular I knew even before I bought the console that I had to play. And that game was Sunset Overdrive. And that's what we're talking about today. Sunset Overdrive was originally an Xbox One exclusive made by Insomniac Games. Yeah, you heard me, Insomniac Games, the creators of the original Spyro trilogy, the Resistance series, Ratchet & Clank, and more recently the new Spider-Man game. And they are all PlayStation exclusives. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Well, that's what I thought at first. It was so bizarre to see Insomniac step out of their comfort zone with the PlayStation since the company's beginning in 1996 and jump ship to the other platform with their new IP. Well, the explanation is rather simple. The last series they worked on being Ratchet & Clank was published and owned by Sony, and this time around Insomniac wanted to own their own franchise, and that's what Microsoft offered. Make it an Xbox exclusive and keep the rights to the game, meaning Insomniac got what they wanted, but it did come at a cost. A majority of the Insomniac's following was primarily on the Sony community, so jumping platforms was a massive risk for them, and the game did well apparently at launch, but I rarely see people talking about it. Until recently, that is. At the start of November, rumours started floating around about a PC port coming to Windows 10 and Steam, and then a couple of days later Amazon started posting a price for the game and a release date with the port being a week later. And then to very little shock at this point, Sunset Overdrive got a second breath of life it needed and was released for the PC platform. And I'm honestly impressed with how good a port this game is. It runs smooth, I've had very little issues with it, and it only crashed once. Once. That is such a shocker for modern PC titles, as you're bound to crash every hour with some games. As for the game itself, it's actually as fun as I remember. The story begins with your character picking up empty cans from a Fisco concert promoting the new energy drink Overcharge. However, during the concert, the people who actually drink this Overcharge drink end up mutating and becoming these demonic freaks. And with you being one of the only people who didn't actually end up drinking it, you have to escape and return to your shitty apartment to wait for this all to blow over. From here, you're given the chance to dress up your character as in this game. The character is a canvas for you to make a version of yourself in the rock and roll apocalypse. Or you could just do what I do and accidentally make a lookalike of Travis from No More Heroes, but with a goatee because he's my OC. Funny that. But once you're done with that, you'll realise you're out of supplies, and just as that happens, the monsters outside will finally realise you're in your very secure apartment and finally attempt to break in. But just before you're ripped to shreds, you're saved by another survivor who asks you to meet him outside. You'll learn that the survivor who saved you, named Walter, wants to recruit you and help him towards escaping the city and expose Fisco for cutting corners on the new drink and trying to cover up the entire incident. You'll start off with a tutorial talking about how the combat works with various weapons at your disposal, and later on down the line, there's a lot to play with. But one complaint I have about the weapons in this game is the weapon wheel itself, or rather the lack of extra slots. You'll have a weapon selection screen with several slots to choose from, but if you want to add new weapons to this list, you'll need to hit pause, go to your character screen and then click and swap weapons. It's a minor nitpick, but I ended up using the same weapons during the entire game, so there's a lot I missed out on. As for the other part of the tutorial, you'll be taught about the prime and more amusing means of movement, which is mainly grinding off stuff like rails and fences and jumping off things like vehicles and bushes, allowing you to fling yourself about like a slingshot. This will end up being your main method of traversing throughout the city. You could argue it feels a bit forced into the gameplay, and while it definitely is, not once did it feel overused or repetitive. Instead, grinding all over the city becomes more fun and more rewarding later on down the line depending on how you play the game. So once you're done with the start of the tutorial, you'll be sent over to the hideout where you'll learn more about how the gunplay works. Besides having a major variety of weapons at your disposal, you'll also unlock things called amps. These amps will modify how the weapons work and also how your player performs in general. But to stop these being completely overpowering for you in the game, there's a catch. To activate an ability of these amps, you need to power up your style meter. This can be achieved by keeping on the go and swapping between grinding and jumping and beating the crap out of the ODs. These amps will vary in style, and some will give you back health, some will add a freeze effect to the weapons, and some will just let you blow the shit out of everything. As for earning new amps, there's two ways of earning these amps. One is by finding collectibles throughout the game and then using these collectibles to purchase new amps from the store, while the second way is a more of a mandatory style for the game. During the progression of this game, you'll find new locations which become a hideout or a hub area, and you'll be given a mission at each location to make new amps. These are your sort of holdout missions with the objective to protect a couple of machines while they cook up your amps. These missions are rather fun, but I won't lie, I'm glad they didn't overdo it. These give you a new style of gameplay with traps at your disposal. You have to use to hold them back for a couple of minutes. The amps you'll get from this alone is enough to play about with, but it's definitely worth collecting those collectibles to get all of them, as it's definitely fun mixing and matching various amps to find out what you prefer. And best of all, the game actually rewards you for how you play. Whenever you do specific things in the game, like killing a certain amount of enemies or even just traversing around the map, you'll be given a badge, and these badges can be used to buy abilities that will also go towards making the game easier or making it harder for yourself, which can either vary like giving you better damage or giving the enemy stronger damage towards you. So again, this is purely down to you. And to continue with the main story, you'll discover that Walter has been working on a plane to escape the city, and you'll end up breaking it. Yeah, Walter really doesn't like you for that one, so to try and impress him and apologise, you'll have to find a new propeller. So you'll head over to a nearby warehouse where instead of a propeller, you'll find a nerd trying to find supplies. You'll save him and take him back to his safe zone with the other students who will help you create a propeller, and this is the kind of formula you'll encounter for each group in the game. You'll meet them. To get them on your side, you'll have to go and win them over by doing various tasks that definitely make no sense. Like for example, there's a mission to find someone's parents, there's another to find a student's dog, which ends up being a beast of a machine and it's a robot, giving you the chance to destroy some OD with a cute little puppy, and then there's someone else who will just only drink specific kind of water. It's like they got my friend Melissa and then put her in the game. To get this water though, you'll have to go somewhere and burst some pipes to clear out the water while being mocked by an emergency AI.
Emergency flush system offline until you figure out where those ODs are coming from.
Hey, automated intercom lady. I could do with a little less sarcasm, okay?
You can dish it out, but you can't take it, huh?
Seriously, this game has some of the weirdest moments and a lot of it breaks the fourth wall. In fact, it happens so much that the player is fully aware that this is a game and he'll randomly remind you, hey, I'm a video game character, I can't fucking die. And it gets to a point where the respawn animations are so over the top and they reference random things like Portal, Bill and Ted, The Ring, and best of all, you come out of a portal when you're fast travelling. How is that a selling point and why do I like it so much? So once you've got the propeller from the students, your next task is to try and escape the city. You'll get a flying mission beforehand with some rather fun flying mechanics, and then just before you're about to escape, Walter will realise that there's a barrier blocking you from leaving. So just like William Overbeck would from Left 4 Dead, he chooses to save your life over his own, and with him now dead and with no way out, you're told about a person called Brill Cream who might know of a way to escape the city. So your next stop is to go over to a Japanese museum, and once you arrive, things don't really appear as they seem. Brill Cream is missing and the current troop leader is unable to find where he is due to some signal issues. So you're sent off to investigate and you'll encounter one of the first mini bosses in this game. A giant balloon. Okay, yep, that sounds dumb saying it and it was quite dumb in game. But it's a rather fun fight. You'll have to climb your way up and activate some pads and then shoot the shit out of him while grinding some rails. In the heat of the moment, it's absolutely brilliant. So after a while you end up discovering that the troop leader is actually being a bit of a traitorous arsehole and tries to keep Brill Cream with some bandits by paying them. And they keep him in a garbage truck. So once you figure out where his location is, you go find him and
Fine work. Worthy of a fine survivalist.
yeah, I guess he got really hungry in that truck. Huh. So after you have to carry Brill Cream back to his troops, the other troop leader will freak out and drink some overcharge and mutate into that. And once killing whatever that thing is, Brill Cream will then give you some blueprints for a boat, which he will tell you then to go find someone called Ignatius who will then help you build the boat. But once you get there, you'll learn that he's fallen ill, and just like his group, they're all suffering from some sort of shell shock and they believe he's a king when in reality, he's LARPing. They're LARPing, they're all LARPers in this apocalypse, you know, they don't care about the OD, they're fine whacking their plastic swords around. This game is just, the humour is just so weird, I love it. The missions you get here are to help cure the king, and it does get really weird. You'll end up trying to find food for him, but because they're LARPing, they'll try feeding him tree bark. Okay. Well, obviously that wasn't going to work, so then you have to go and find actual food, and you end up hunting pigeons. But don't worry, it gets even better. So once the king has feasted on roast pigeon, he still needs medicine, but because they believe he's from the Dark Ages, you'll need to cover yourself in leeches and then drink some medicine so they're full of your blood and the medicine, and you'll end up hallucinating. This is definitely one of the weirdest and best parts of this game. You'll end up following a balloon for a while and watch the world around you slowly become a living disaster, more than it is currently, and you'll somehow end up on the roof of the castle where you transfer the leeches from yourself to the king. How any of this makes sense, I have no idea, but I'm rolling with it. It's absolutely great. I'm having a great time. I don't care. Follow the balloon in the lava for all I fucking care. So after all of this is done, you're given a second chance to leave the city again, but this time with a boat made of trash. Similar to the plane escape, you're given a mission to progress towards the exit, but this is probably my least favourite mission in the game. It's a really slow paced escort mission, and with the objective of the boat being bombarded with ranged ODs, it's all over the place. The boat will have a health meter and you'll have to keep an eye on that or the mission will fail, but don't worry, you can pick up more trash around the area to help repair it. The idea of this mission is fine and I have nothing against it, but it's so slow. The whole game is really fast paced and this one you're just kind of waiting for the slow boat to progress down the river, and I ended up getting really bored a couple of minutes in. So once you're done with this rather dull mission, you'll finally be leaving the city as Brokream's method of getting out of the city works. You'll then find out that Fisco has ordered some robots to invade the city and clean up, meaning they're gonna kill everyone off. So being the hero that you are, you'll have to go back and save the people you recruited previously, and once that's all over, you'll learn that Fisco had one last plan to wipe out the city, leaving you with one last mission. Take on Fisco. But the Fisco headquarters are in a fortress which isn't easy to get to, but there's one more group of survivors who are able to infiltrate this building, but they don't want to help you because they believe you're more trouble rather than help. But the player has an idea.
Okay, here's how this is gonna go. First I'll run some errands for you, then you'll like me, and then you'll help me.
Not gonna happen.
Trust me, works every time.
Yep, they actually went down that line and I fucking love them for it. There are times when you can break a fourth wall in the game where it'll be cringy, but that is just brilliant. So you'll have a couple more missions left throughout the game, which is just some basic stuff like putting on a concert, building a massive sword which can destroy everything in its path, and then finally once they're on your side, you'll head towards the final part of the game, where you'll be holding your ground against a couple of waves of Fisco bots while people infiltrate the building, with an epic finale of you launching yourself into the Fisco building on a massive bottle of overcharge, where sadly you'll sacrifice your life to stop Fisco launching their last resort, saving the city and saving your friends, and finally you'll become the hero you deserved.
Whoa, wait a minute. That's the ending? Are you serious? Whose idea was that? Yours? Or yours? Oh, bad move, guys. NeoGaf is gonna eat you alive. You know what? I deserve a better ending. I got an idea. Okay, rewind!
I just lost the best friend I've ever had.
Hey, everybody. Who wants to get drunk on milk and crackers?
Okay, for the record, I fucking love this game. So you'll discover that the Fisco building was the final plan, and now this building has transformed into some giant robot which is now destroying the city. So for your final mission you have to go and chase it down and destroy the core. As a bit of a weird boss, it's a rather fun boss, and it's a really fun way to end the main story of the game. The ending is definitely pretty basic, and the story leaves it open-ended, leaving you to continue with the save and continue to finishing off the side quests, and also finding collectibles and doing various challenges throughout the city. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this earlier. You'll meet an old man who's watching the city on CCTV in the game, and he'll ask you to go and do specified challenges at certain locations. It will involve various things which mainly involve destroying OD, but with different objectives into the mix. There's definitely a lot to do overall with this game, and with the extra stories in the DLC, I can see myself playing this for a while. And yeah, the main story is kinda short, but there's so much to do on the side which makes it so much more fun. So yeah, Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox One and PC. It's an absolutely fantastic game, and if you haven't got it yet, I'm surprised because it's really cheap on both PC brand new and Xbox One pre-owned. So just get the bloody thing. You don't need to hear any more from me. But if I don't see you again this year, I hope you will have a fantastic Christmas and a brilliant new year. As for myself, I'm going to get back to work. So thank you all so much for watching. My name is Sir Crackerbob, and have a cracking week. Goodbye.